And I beheld heaven open, and behold the white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. We are at
so you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war, so you better lace your straps up.
Man, the hell up this room.
This is war.
We are at war.
So you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war, so you better lace your straps up.
Big tanks, warships, and planted hands with small chips. North Korea, Russian spies, war is at our doorsteps. History doesn't lie, they beat the slaves with horse whips. So I think it's only right we pay them back with sword tips. End of time, spoken of, it's gonna get a little warm. Daniel 7 started 8, judgment of the little horn that beat us down, held us back, called us by obscenities. Prepare us a table in the presence of our enemies and pay them back. Worse than that, they argue that the earth is flat. Our babies dying, mothers crying, cities full of murdered blacks. Hispanics too, they hate you too. Edomites are not your friend. Harmless smile behind the scenes. They tracking you through iPhone 10 technologies, through policy. We served them since the colonies. This ain't our rest, my mind is right. This place is hell, I'm not at ease. I swore an oath with every breath. I promise to defend the law. Sword is sharpened, armored up. I'm calling for the men of
this
war.
Is war.
We are at
so
war.
You better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war, so you better lace your straps up.
Man, the hell up this room.
This is war.
We are at war.
So you better lace your straps up.
Physical and spiritual.
We're at war, so you better lace your straps
Man,
up.
the hell up this room.
We send them prayers up, and then the blessings come down. Yeah. Let's get it. I pray material things never blind me. I pray all this fake love will never find me. I pray I don't have fear for any other man. What I pray for the most is that you understand. I pray material things never blind me. I pray all this fake love will never find me. I pray I don't have fear for any other man. And what I pray for the most is that you understand. If you say you're a king, you gotta have the standards. I say that I pray when I don't have the answers. Don't know the way, then prayer has to come in. It's okay to pray and don't ask for nothing. Ready for war, but I pray for peace. Know the book says, don't let your prayers cease. Pray for the strength to pray for enemies. Pray to forget these childhood memories. But on these 511s, it's the wrong shoes any day. Cowboys team, man, you're gonna lose anyway. Don't come for me, sorry, I don't got a team. Can't be MLK if I never said I got a dream. I pray to Yahweh that he bless you. I pray that you pass, cause life will test you. I pray on the days that things are stressful. Remember, Israel to God is something special. I pray material things never blind me. I pray all this fake love will never find me. I pray I don't have fear for any other man. What I pray for the most is that you understand. I pray material things never blind me. I pray all this fake love will never find me. I pray I don't have fear for any other man. And what I pray for the most is that you understand. Yahweh Shah came so he could feed his people. Solomon prayed that he could lead his people. Wise as he was, he didn't see the evil. I pray for the day Yahweh frees the people. Babylon the Great breaking all walls down. Kanye's song, When It All Falls Down. I pray every day, that's a part of me, that we all celebrate like classic R&B. Cool in this gang, there's so many speakers. I pray that you learn, we have so many teachers. I pray for the kingdom, cause it needs to come. I pray for Isaiah 14:1. Always be thankful, what my lady said. Don't ask for much, just my daily bread. I pray on the days that things are stressful. Remember, Israel to God is something special. I pray material things never blind me. I pray all this fake love will never find me. I pray I don't have fear for any other man. What I pray for the most is that you understand. I pray material things never blind me. I pray all this fake love will never find me. I pray I don't have fear for any other man. And what I pray for the most is that you understand. We send the prayers up, and then the blessings come down. Prayer is your weapon, y'all. Make sure you pray every single day. Don't just ask for things, but pray to the Most High to deliver us.
Ya Baraka, Ya Baraka, Yahweh, Yahweh, Wa Yashamaka, Wa Yashamaka, Yahweh, Yahweh, Ya Yahweh, Ya Yahweh, Hanya Wa Al Yak, Hanya Wa Al Yak, Wa Yachanka, Wa Yachanka, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yasha Yahweh, Yasha Yahweh, Hanya Wa Al Yak, Hanya Wa Al Yak, Wa Yasham, Wa Yasham, Laka Shalom, Laka Shalom, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Shah, Barak Rapah, Barak Rapah, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Shah, Barak Rapah, Barak Rapah, Yasha Allah, Yasha Allah.
Shalom, shalom. Welcome back to another Thursday. All praise and glory to the Most High. Tonight we're going to go over Strait is the Gate. Going to kind of get into some detail about those particular scriptures. Hopefully everybody's edified. Hopefully everybody had a good new moon. All praises and glory to the Most High. So let's get started. All right. Strait is the gate. First I want to say, as we're going through this, we understand that this walk is not an easy walk. People think that, I say a lot of people in Christianity make it seem like, they come to some sort of knowledge, or they be like they're saved, or whatever the case may be, and the walk just becomes easier. I'm so blessed, and you see all types of things that people post on like Facebook and stuff like that, like, oh, I'm blessed, and but when you really take a look at their life, they living horrible. You know what I'm saying? Living horrible. Their life is horrible. Health is horrible. All that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's because, like we're going to go over tonight, straight is the gate, right? I say all the time, there's a certain way that we have to live, certain things that we have to follow, walking with the Most High. We can look at, some of our ancestors, Elijah, Enoch, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? These is men that walked with the Most High. Moses spoke with the Most High face to face. You see what I'm saying? That part goes a little deeper than, us talking like this, but you know what I mean? So we got to try to be on that same page, right? All right, let's get into it. This is Matthew chapter 7 and verse 13. I'm going to read 7, 13, and 14, and then we'll break these scriptures down a lot more. All right. So Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 says, enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Right? So let's deal with this first part. Enter ye in at the strait gate. Let's see what strait is in the Greek. All right, so you got G4728. Right? Narrow, strait. Probably from the base of narrow. This is what I want right here. From obstacles standing close about. See, so like I said, this walk is not going to be easy. You know, we endure a lot of things, so you're gonna deal with hardships. You know what I'm saying? Your faith is going to be tested. Your you doing the will of the Most High is going to be tested. You know what I mean? And it's tested by everything. It's tested by your job. It's tested by the way of the world. It's tested by your family. You know what I mean? You just have to walk this narrow path, right? You got to walk this straight gate. So, like I said, it has to do with obstacles, but it's even more than just obstacles, right? If we go to, I don't know the name of it, or I don't know the index of it. So let's go to Egypt. So let's just pull one. Genesis 12 and 10, right? All right. So Genesis 12 and 10, right? And there was a famine in the land, and Abraham went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. When we go to Egypt, now we know that Egypt is not its actual name. So Mizraim, right? What is Egypt? Land of the Copt country, section of Africa, so on and so forth, right? But this is what we want. Egyptians, double straits, right? That's what we want. So we know this straits has to do with obstacles, right? Double straits. Now let's get it a little more than that, right? This is what I want to show you. So when we look up Egypt, meaning of double straits dealing with Egypt, right? Says double straits refers to a Hebrew name for Egypt, Mitzrayim, which can be interpreted as dual form, suggesting two narrow passages or two kinds of constraints. You see, the name is often associated with the idea of Egypt as a place of constrictions, oppression, hardship, particularly in relationship to the Israelites' experience in the Exodus narrative, right? We drop down a little more. Possible interpretations, right? The dual form can be interpreted in several ways. Upper and lower, because you know you have two different sections of Egypt. Two kinds of constraints. Mizraim could represent the two types of oppression the Israelites faced: physical slavery and spiritual bondage. So that's what I want, right? That's what I wanted from that. Okay. Now let's go back. Okay, so we know that Egypt is double straits, right? So in that time, we were in the land of Egypt, you know what I mean? But when you read later on, when it speaks of Egypt, it's talking about bondage, so on and so forth, right? But it has the same meaning, double straits, okay? Now let's see what that looks like, right? Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 12. It says, "Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange things happened unto you. But rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. If ye be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye, for the Spirit of glory and of God resteth upon you. On their part, he is evil spoken of, but on your part, he is glorified. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on his behalf. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God? And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinners appear? That right there is very heavy, right? The righteous scarcely be saved. Okay. And this is what we're going into, right? Straight is the gate. So we're going to deal with obstacles, right? We have to endure during this walk. You see, we have to endure to the end during this walk. You know, sometimes a lot of our people feel like giving up. Um, I've heard priests say this multiple times, right? Don't be too tight with people in the truth, because a lot of people in the truth fall out. You know, a lot of people can't deal with obstacles. A lot of people can't deal with not being able to teach a certain way, and then someone comes along and beats up their doctrine. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people can't deal with their families turning their back on them, or so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So the righteous scarcely make it through. You know? Where shall the ungodly and the sinners appear? Wherefore, let them that suffer according to the will of God commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing, as unto a faithful creator. Right? This walking this line, walking with the Most High, we have to be committed. We have to be committed. And I'm not talking about autopilot. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about autopilot. Yep, I keep the Sabbath. Yes, I go to feast days. Yes, I keep tabernacles. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about just autopilot. This is an everyday living. You see what I'm saying? This is every day. Every day. This is the way of life. You see? Let's go to Jeremiah 25. Jeremiah 25. 25 and 29. Jeremiah 25 and 29 says, For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name. And shall ye be utterly unpunished? Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, saith the Lord of hosts. You see what I'm saying? So remember, just like we read in Peter, the punishments, the judgments starts at the house of the Lord. So it begins with us. All the other nations are going to have to flow onto us, you know what I mean? But our focus is us. You know what I mean? It's us as an individual, us as a nation. You see what I'm saying? Like I said before, we want our families to follow the Most High. We want our families to be in the truth, so on and so forth. But we have to realize that it just might not happen. That's something that we just got to deal with. You know what I mean? So it might be hard. Your favorite cousin or your grandma or your brother or sister, you know what I'm saying, might be completely against the truth. Now you got to make a decision. This is like I said, it has to deal with your family as well, right? This is some of the obstacles that you're going to deal with. This is some of the obstacles that you're going to go through. Let's get Exodus 18. Exodus 18 and 24. Is that what I want? Salakia, I'm tripping. Ezekiel 18. Salakia. Ezekiel 18 and 24. I be tripping. All right, Ezekiel 18 and 24. But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness and committeth iniquity and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned. In his trespass that he hath trespassed, and in his sin that he hath sinned, in them shall he die. So knowing the truth, right? And you've done good, or you've done your thing, or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to say good, but you've done your thing, you've done the work of the Most High, but then you turn willfully. You know what I'm saying? You turn willfully and go against the Most High for certain things, for friends, family, your own selfishness, whatever the case may be. Your righteousness is not even mentioned. You just kind of smeared your righteousness. You just blotted it out. You see what I'm saying? You just blotted it out. Now we know, according to Zechariah, well, matter of fact, let's just get it. Zechariah 13. You know, according to Zechariah 13, this is how hard this walk is, right? In verse 9. Zechariah 13 and verse 9 says, and I will bring the third part through the fire, right? Because we know that 2/3 got to be cut off. But the third part that is sticking, we have to go through the fire. And will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. You know, and we use that scripture a lot because we understand that 2/3 have to be cut off. But the righteous, we have to stick. We have to commit. And like I said, straight is the gate, right? Let's get the book of Acts. Chapter 14 and 22. Acts chapter 14 and 22 says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of God. You see, so let's see what that is. You know, sometimes we have an idea of what words mean, right? By definition of English and stuff like that. But sometimes in the Greek or the Hebrew, it has a different meaning, right? Oppressing, pressing together, pressure, oppression, affliction, tribulation, distress, or straits. See that? You know what I mean? And if we even go up here, so when you look at the Strong's, you know, first of all, we know Strong's is not like a dictionary, it's an index, okay? So, but when you look up here, words that are like associated with this, they give you other things, right? So trouble, anguish, persecution, burdened, to be afflicted, affliction. So tribulation, straits, oppression has to do with all of this. You see? Has to do with all of this. So straight is the gate. You know, a lot of times when people read straight is the gate, they just think of a narrow path, right? But like I said, it's more than that. It's more than just a narrow path. You're gonna go through things on that path. We just can't veer into different directions, right? Let's go to 1 Peter 3. 3 and 17 to 18. First Peter 3, verse 17 says, "For it is better, if the will of God be so, that ye offer for well doing than for evil doing. For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit." Right? So even Yahushua had to suffer. You see, so, and I know that it's hard to see sometimes, right? It's hard to see that the Most High is with you sometimes when you're going through things. You know what I mean? It's hard to see that the Most High got you when you're going through some things. You know what I mean? But this is where our faith comes in. This is where our commitment comes in, right? Like we read in a couple scriptures, right? We have to commit. That's not an easy thing. You know what I mean? That's not an easy thing. Commitment itself is not easy. If you play a sport, you commit to that sport. That comes with work. That comes with sometimes pain. You know what I'm saying? Blood, sweat, tears. You know what I mean? If you play a sport, right? When it comes to marriage and you commit to your marriage, that comes with work. It comes with endurance. It comes with hardships. You know what I mean? So when it comes to this truth, you're going to go through the same things. All the things that's set in your life for you to commit to can be strenuous. It can be hard. These are the examples that we have in our everyday life to follow the Most High. They're examples. You see what I'm saying? So if we use these examples, let's see. Psalms 37. Psalms 37 and verse 5 says, "Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass." You see, a lot of us don't look at the ending, right? A lot of us look at here and now. Here and now. You see, it's hard to look ahead sometimes. You know what I mean? It's hard to look ahead sometimes. The here and now. I've talked to younger cats that is like in the streets, right? And you can ask them particular things about their lifestyle. And I would have probably gave the same answer when I was younger. Like what would change? And a lot of them will say, having better jobs or, better communities or something like that, right? But that might be later on. That's not today. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of people live for today. You know what I mean? They're not looking at the end. They're not looking at the Most High getting them out of a situation. They're not looking at a tribulation coming to pass. They're looking at here and now. You know what I mean? So we have to commit thy way unto the Lord. So committing that way unto the Lord, you know what I'm saying? We know what that comes with, right? We already know what that comes with. It comes with keeping the laws, statutes, commandments, having faith in Yahushua, right? Trying to be perfect, trying to strive for perfection for the Most High. You know what I mean? To be a just man or woman. So we know what it comes with. We just have to commit to it. So like I said, it's difficult. It's not going to be easy at all. Not going to be easy at all. This is a very hard thing, you know what I mean? To go through this walk. It is a very hard thing. But some of our brothers committed, you know what I mean? A lot of our brothers committed, I should say. But let's get the book of Luke 23. 23 and verse 46. Here's a form of commitment, right? And we can, if we are trying to live up to Yahushai, look at the things that Yahushai did. Make a comparison, not only make a comparison of what you're doing, but also make a comparison of what you would do. You know what I mean? Make a comparison of what you would do. Let's go. 23 and let's just jump down. 46. No, I started 44. It says, and it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Yahushua had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. You see what I'm saying? Yahushua was committed all the way to his death, his resurrection, all the way to being on the right hand of the Father, right? Remember how this account went, you know what I mean? Yahushua was scared. He was scared. He asked if you could take this cup from me, take it. You know what I mean? But your will must be done, right? The Most High's will must be done. So he was committed to the Most High's will. So like I said, not only are we trying to measure up to Yahushua, but also look at yourself in the light of, would you do what he do? Would you do what he did? He died for us, and he wasn't even the one sinning and stuff. You know what I mean? It was just put on him. So he committed to that, right? Let me see. Where else is that? John 15 and 20. Yes, John 15 and 20 says, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. You see, so that's us walking according to the Most High, right? If we keep his saying and us putting the word out, other people will keep it as well. But Yahushua was persecuted, so we'll be persecuted as well. And this is what I'm saying, like, we're going to go through these tribulations. We're going to go through a lot of things, you know what I mean? Whether it's small or great, you know what I mean? It's annoying if you're going through something small each and every day. You know what I mean? Like if everything is cool and smooth for a while and then you just go through something big one time every so often, you know what I mean? You might be like, well, all right, I got that over with. You know what I'm saying? But if it's something every single day, man, you might be like, man, this is some bull. You know what I mean? But we have to understand, like, we have to go through these things. We're going to go through these things. We're going to go through issues. We're going to go through problems. We're going to go through us being put to the test. You know what I'm saying? You might have to restrain yourself. You might have to bite your tongue on occasion. You might have to walk away. You might, you know what I mean? There might be problems like that. You might have financial issues. You know what I mean? You might have car problems. You can't fix your car in time, but you don't have enough money to get it fixed all the time. You know what I'm saying? So you calling in on work, you're losing money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a lot of things that is so many variables that we can go through. And then you have, and that's not including other nations. That's not including other nations who'll be like, oh, God loves everyone. and I can get into the kingdom too, and that's not true, and this ain't true, and he's not just for Israel. You know what I'm saying? Now you got arguments on your hands. Now you got people who hate what you teach. You got people who look at all Israelites, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do they call us? Extremists. You know what I mean? Extremists, and so on and so forth, right? They label us certain things, you know what I mean? That has to deal with persecution. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up. Let me see. Okay. Let me share this page real quick. They also call us a cult, right? So, can y'all see that? Okay. Definition of a cult is a system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. Relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. You see, when we look at that definition, the reason I brought that definition out is because you have denominations of like Christianity and stuff like that who call us as Israelites cults, right? Call us cults. Say that we're in a cult, I should say. You know, but when you read that definition, it's Christianity. You know, we could say, all right, we're in a cult, you know what I'm saying? Because it has to do with religious beliefs and so on and so forth. But that also has to do with Christianity. By definition, they're the same thing. You see what I'm saying? But they choose to persecute us because of what we teach, you know, and the way we teach it. You know, but we're not doing it for like wickedness and, you know what I mean? Like, we're not in it for money and, you know, so like we're not evil and wicked and sinister and, you know, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we're not doing it like that. We're really just trying to get our people we're bidding our people to the wedding. You know, we want our people to come back to the Most High and take our rightful place. You see what I'm saying? But it's a problem. It's a problem with when so-called Blacks, Hispanic, and Natives come together. That's a systematic problem for these people. You see what I'm saying? It's like that's a problem for these people. So we get persecuted, and it's not like it just started now. You know what I mean? We were kicked out of Spain for our beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Israelites were kicked out of Spain for our beliefs, and the people that followed us, people who were like converts or just wanted to join to us, cleave to us, and stuff like that, they were kicked out right along with us. You see? So like I said, this walk is a hard walk. I did that class on self-discipline and control, right? This is a form of discipline. You got to have discipline to be in this walk. You know what I mean? You got to have discipline to be in this walk. There's no way I can come to the Most High if Yahushua cracked the sky, right? And the night before I was out in the clubs, fornicating, so on and so forth. And then the next day, in church in the pulpit, you know, with the pastor and stuff like that. And then Yahushua cracks the sky and he'd be like, what was you doing last night? Remember, your inequity rubs out your righteousness. Knowing the truth. You see? So like I said, you know, James says, be prepared for temptation, you know, take it in pure joy, so on and so forth, right? But it's not even just the temptation. It's the obstacles that you're going to go through, right? obstacles you're going to go through. Let's get the book of Acts, chapter 21. So we seen Yahushua was committed, right? Now let's look at Paul real quick. Let's go down to verse 13. Acts 21 and 13 says, Then Paul answered, What mean ye to weep and to break mine heart? For I am ready not to be bound only, but also to die at Jerusalem for the name of the Lord Yahushua. Paul was ready to die. You know what I mean? He was ready to die. The commitment that he had for the Most High, he was ready to die. He was okay with that. He was accepting to that. You see what I'm saying? He was accepting to that. He was like, I'm good with it. You know what I mean? That's like a full understanding that brothers and sisters got to have. You know what I mean? This is how far your commitment has to be for the Most High. You know, some people are scared to die. But like I said, it's because you're not looking at the end. What is your body? What is your flesh? You know what I'm saying? This is just like a shell. This is a tool that the Most High is using. You know what I mean? But your spirit is something different. Your spirit is something that the Most High can keep. You see what I'm saying? Paul understands this. You know? Matter of fact, let's stay in Acts. Let's go to chapter 7. Who else understood this? Let's go down to 59. Stephen understood this too. Right? Book of Acts, chapter 59 and verse, I'll start at 58. This is where Stephen is about to be stoned, right? Acts chapter 7, verse 58. And cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet whose name was Saul. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon God and saying, Lord Yahushua, receive my spirit. And he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Lord, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he had said this, he fell asleep. You see what I'm saying? Stephen was committed. He understood that body is just a fleshly body, but his spirit will go to the Most High. It sounds rough. You know what I mean? It sounds rough, man. This is a hard thing, you know what I'm saying? But no one ever said that it was going to be easy. You know, like me, I know, this is me personally, you know what I'm saying? I know that this walk is difficult. You know what I mean? This walk is difficult. I know this flesh is what it say, like a vapor. You know what I'm saying? Here and gone. I know that. But right there in the moments, you're not necessarily prepared for certain hardships. You know, you're not looking at, like, for brothers and sisters to get angry and stuff like that. You're not even looking at the ending. You're looking at then and now. If you was willing to die for nonsense, you know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you die for Yahushua or the Most High? You know what I mean? These are the things that we have to accept. We gotta really understand that it's gonna be hard. We gotta keep it in mind, right? We gotta keep it in mind. What is it? What is that? What's that saying? Whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger. You see what I'm saying? So just know that when you're going through some stuff, when you got obstacles and you're trying to figure it out, and when you have tribulations and you're trying to work through them, you know what I mean, and persecutions, if it didn't kill you, man, it's just making you stronger. It should be increasing your faith. It should be increasing your love for the Most High. It should be increasing your commitment to the Most High. You know what I mean? Because I'll tell you right now, Christians will tell you fast. If you hate on about what they teach, they're gonna try to give you a random gonna try to give you like a random scripture, right? Like, yup, see, I'm supposed to go through persecution. Christ said I was gonna be hated. You know what I'm saying? Even though they're teaching the wrong thing, but they're viewing it like I must be teaching something right because they hating on me. You see what I'm saying? They willing to accept that. You know what I mean? They'll accept that fast, even though they might not know what they're talking about, even though they're not even committed to following the Most High. You know what I mean? But they'll hit you with that quick. They hit you with it quick. You know, we have to come to that understanding. You know, we have to get out of our own selfishness and come to the understanding that the things that we're doing, the way that we're living, is all for the glory of the Most High. Not for us. You know what I mean? It's beneficial to us, but it's all for the glory of the Most High. You see what I'm saying? What else did I want? Let's get 2 Timothy 1. 2 Timothy 1 and verse 12. For the which cause I also suffer these things. Nevertheless, I am not ashamed, for I know whom I have believed, and I am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. You see what I'm saying? We have to have an understanding and a commitment. Some people slack. I've seen some people in the truth who are like very committed, right? Especially when people first get in the truth, right? They're like committed. They're watching like a million videos, you know what I mean, on YouTube. They're taking notes. They're studying. They're telling like all their family, like, oh no, we're Israelites. You know what I mean? That's, forget Edomites and I hate them. And you know what I mean? Like they go hard, right? Then give it some time. Them brothers ain't keeping the Sabbath. Give it some more time. Then a brother can't make it to a feast. You know what I mean? Give it some more time. Christianity is beating them up in scripture. More time, they're not even in the truth. Then they try to jump back into the truth, and then they got this fire all over again. And then even within a shorter amount of time than before, they fall out again. So I really understand when Priest said, don't be all extra tight with people in the truth, because a lot of them fall out. I understand it. You know what I mean? I understand it. But that ain't got nothing to do with you individually. You know what I'm saying? Your commitment is not their commitment. You know what I mean? Remember, make your calling and election sure. You can't make nobody else's calling and election sure. That's not your job. Your job is to plant a seed. You know what I mean? Your job may be to water that seed, but you can't give no increase. That's up to the Most High, right? All right, let's go back to Matthew. So we know what that straight gate looks like, right? We know what that straight gate looks like. It's hard, right? So Matthew 7:13 says, enter ye at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. So let's go wide, right? Okay, let me try to pull this up real fast. Give me 1 second. I want the etymology. All right. Etymology of this. Slovakia. There we go. Okay. All right. Let me pull it up for y'all. So wide, right? We have wide. Okay. So etymology of wide, right? Here's one of the definitions. I mean, we have multiple definitions, of course. Certain or specified extension from side to side. So we know that has to deal with a radius or whatever, expansion, right? Spread apart. All right. Embracing by many subjects, right? Here's one of the definitions I want. Missing the intended target, right? Missing the intended target. Here's another one that I want. Unguarded or exposed to attack. Those are the definitions that I want. Why? Because if you fall into sin, right, you're exposed to attack by the enemy. You see what I'm saying? You're missing the intended target, which is to do the will of the Most High, right? This is wide. This is what it's talking about. You see what I'm saying? Wide is the gate. This is the width. You know what I mean? When we think we have so much freedom, I tell people all the time, your free will ain't like you think. It's not like you think. Yahushua says that every hair on your head is numbered. You see what I'm saying? So your free will ain't like you think. So wide is the gate, right? But it says that it leads to destruction, right? And like I said, you're missing the intended target. Okay. Let's go to Genesis. Chapter 6. Chapter 6, and I'm going to go to verse 5. Genesis chapter 6 and verse 5 says, and Yahweh saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, we think we got so much room where I'm under grace and mercy. I'm going to tell everybody something this. We had grace and mercy even during the times of Moses. Unless it came to particular laws. You see what I'm saying? Like if you're caught in the act of adultery and there's witnesses, you don't get no grace and mercy then. The punishment is death. If you're caught breaking the Sabbath and there's witnesses, there's no grace and mercy then. But there is other laws that wasn't punishable by death. You did have grace and mercy. It was there. I don't know why people don't think it was. You know what I'm saying? But it was there. We had it. Only thing is Yahushua came and told you that you had grace and mercy. And Paul talks about grace and mercy. You see what I'm saying? But if you just go through scripture, you see that we had mercy. The Most High was going to kill all of us and start over with Moses. You think that wasn't mercy? You see what I'm saying? So the Most High sees the wickedness of man was great in the earth, right? Let's drop down to verse 12. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of our people feel like we could do whatever we want. I know y'all all seen that camp. I don't know if it's a camp, but I know all y'all seen them people, them brothers and sisters, every year. What is it during? I want to say Passover, where they got like a whole bunch of ham and a whole bunch of pork and all kind. Nobody wears fringes. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if it's Passover, but I want to say it's Passover. But they always post it online. You know what I mean? And one of the brothers, obviously, he's probably the head of them. And excuse me, but he said the law of liberty means we can do what the fuck we want. Excuse me for that. But first of all, I don't want to get off topic, but first of all, that's not the law of liberty. Second of all, what makes you think you can just do what you want? There's already a path. There's already an order set in place for us to follow. Why would you think that you can do what you want? That's crazy. You see what I'm saying? And this was our people. This was our people. You see? So like, this is our people. Like I said, wide is the gate. So you think you can do what you want, but it leads to destruction. You see? See that? So wickedness of man is all upon the earth, right? Let's get the book of Romans, chapter 3. And I'm going to start at verse 9. Go 9 down to like 19, right? Says, what then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved, both Jews and Gentiles, that they are all under sin. All right? As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth, there is none that seeketh after God. They are all gone out of the way. They are together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Their throat is an open sepulchre. With their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asp is under their lips, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways, and the way of peace have they not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law, that every mouth may be stopped, and all the world may become guilty before God. You see what I'm saying? So what the law says applies to the ones who keep the law. You see what I'm saying? Applies to the ones that keep the law. Matter of fact, I'll give you another example. Because he says it again. Romans chapter 7 and verse 1. And you don't have to put this down. I'm just using it as an example, right? Romans 7 and 1 says, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law. You see what I'm saying? How that the law hath dominion over man as long as he liveth. You see what I'm saying? The law is applying to the ones that keep the law. I mean, it applies to everyone, but the ones that keep the law is really who the law is speaking to. Because we are on a certain path. You see what I'm saying? We're trying to follow the Most High as best we can. You know what I mean? With all our mind, body, and soul, right? The people who don't, they don't apply the law to their lives. This is why you have people who be like, oh, the law is done away with, because they're not applying the law to their life and even care. So it ain't got nothing to do with them. You see? Where else does it say this? Psalms 14, verse 2 and 3. Psalms 14:2 says, "The Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand and seek God. They are all gone aside. They are all together become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one." That's a direct precept to your Romans 3. Because this is where it comes from. This is what Paul is talking about. Right? Let's get Ephesians chapter 2. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2. Yeah, we'll start at verse 2. "Wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others." See what I'm saying? The children of wrath, that goes all the way back to Genesis 6, right? Children of disobedience, children of wrath, lust of our own flesh and mind. When you look at that, because sin leads to death, right? Sin leads to death. This is your wide gate right here, right? You fulfilling your own desires of the flesh and of your own mind, being a child of wrath and the child of disobedience. This is your wide gate because it leads to destruction. You know what I mean? It leads to destruction. Some people don't even want to hear, right? In fact, this is kind of a sidebar. It just made me think of something because we used to say this all the time, right? Hosea 4:6. Right? So it leads to destruction. Here we go. Hosea 4:6. "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." This is the key right here. "Because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God. I will also forget thy children." See what I'm saying? So all that leads to destruction. Out of the way of the law leads to destruction. Breaking the law leads to destruction. And what makes you do that? Yourself, your own lust. You condemn yourself. You see that? You condemn yourself. And that was just a sidebar. But to that Ephesians 2, right? Let's get Isaiah 1. Isaiah 1:9 says, "Except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant." Small remnant, right? It was always promised to, like David, to leave a small remnant. So even when the northern kingdom was divorced by the Most High, and a lot of the southern kingdom went off, there's always going to be a small remnant, right? "We should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah." You see that? The prophets knew that our punishments were lighter than what they could have been. He knew that we should have been destroyed. He knew that. Right? He knew that we should have been destroyed. So, again, Matthew 7:13, right? That leadeth to destruction, right? The wide gate leads to destruction. Let's go to Matthew 25. Stay in Matthew 25 and 41. Matthew 25 and 41 says, Then shall he say unto him, unto them on the left hand, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Right? Let's drop down to 46. And all these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. Right? I didn't read all this because Yahushua is just saying, when he was hungry, you didn't feed him. When he was a stranger, you didn't take me in, so on and so forth. He's giving them an explanation, right? But keep in mind, the ones on the left hand will have everlasting punishment, right? So these things, not following this path, right? Having a wide path leads to everlasting punishment. You see what I'm saying? Everlasting punishment. Let's get another one. Proverbs chapter 7, 24. Proverbs chapter 7, verse 24 to 27 says, hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to thy words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths. For she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. Now, this chapter actually has a specific context, but even if we look at the context, my sister, this is the context right here, verse 5, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which is flattered with her words, right? Keep thee from strange women. Now, that's a sin, right? That's in our law. Not marry strange women, women of other nations, so on and so forth. So that's the context of this, right? So when we go down, we see the things that this strange woman can cause, right? Many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell. You see what I'm saying? When we do not be obedient, we cause destruction upon ourselves. All right. Let's stay in Proverbs. Go to chapter 16 and verse 25. Proverbs 16 and 25 says, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. You know, I know people who be like, oh, man, I'm not going to die because I'm eating pork. I'm not going to die because I love white women. You know what I mean? If I do, well, I guess I'm going to hell. And they're okay with that. You know what I'm saying? They're like accepting to just being damned and condemned and destroyed. You know what I mean? But when you're in the truth, and I'll say this against Christianity and I'll say this against, whoever. When you're in the truth, the Bible becomes more real and more alive. You see what I'm saying? So then when you're looking at it, you're like, I don't want them type of problems. Not for no white woman and no piece of ham. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them problems. You see what I'm saying? But some people just don't care, man. Like Hosea said, they reject knowledge. You see? Because like I said, they want to live however they want to live. People want to be free to do what they want. You know what I mean? Especially in this Babylon right here. They want to be free to do what they want. I done heard, guys who switched over, you know what I'm talking about, get mad at what Trump was saying about their rights and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, but you're not a woman. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you have these rights, but you don't understand that this right was actually just given to you. You didn't have it to begin with. You know what I'm saying? It was given to you. And then the rest of this captivity is supposed to accept that. You see, nah, I ain't got to accept nothing. I ain't got to accept nothing. You know, we want to be able to live. I ain't going to say we, not the people on this channel. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people want to be able to live however they want to live. If they want to be a cat tomorrow, identify as a cat tomorrow, they can identify as a cat. I think I heard that before. Wasn't they putting like litter boxes in schools or something like that because kids wanted to be cats and stuff like that? You know, like, just crazy stuff. Just crazy stuff. You know what I mean? I identify as a billionaire. So where's my money? You know what I mean? Like, it's just retarded. It's dumb. You know, like I said, people want to be able to live however they want to live, and that's not reality. It's definitely not reality when it comes to the Most High, and this is why the Most High gonna slap the hell out of some of our people. All right. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians, chapter 1, verse 8 and 9. 2 Thessalonians 1 and 8 says, "In flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power, when he shall come to be glorified in his saints, and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day." When you get the truth, from that day forward, you should keep it. You should keep it. Because, like I said, it's going to take vengeance of those that don't obey. Everlasting destruction. Let's get Revelations 20 and verse 15. Revelation 20 and verse 15 says, "And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire." You can't live according to a wide gate and expect to be written in the book of life. Don't think that you lived your whole life in sin, in sin, Salakia, in sin. You know what I mean? You was a whoremonger, fornicator, committed a lot of debauchery, drug dealer, thief, rapist, murderer, and then on your deathbed, you like, "Forgive me, God," and everything is just okay? Nah. What makes you think that you're going to be written in the book of life? You ain't even have time to atone. You just ask for forgiveness. And just because you ask for forgiveness doesn't mean he has to forgive you. All sins are forgivable except for blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. But it doesn't mean he got to forgive you. Or he can forgive you, but you don't have time to make up for it. Doesn't mean you'll be written in the book of life. Right? Doesn't mean you'll be written in the book of life. Let's go back to Matthew 7. Now let's go to verse 14, right? "Because straight is the gate," we know what that is, "and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it." Narrow is the way, right? So narrow goes into a little bit more detailed. Okay, so in the Greek, it means trouble, afflict, distress, right? So we know that straight has to deal with obstacles. It's going to deal with tribulation and so on and so forth. Same with narrow, right? Suffer tribulation right here. suffer tribulation. Okay. But it says straight is the gate, narrow is the way. So to get to the gate, you're going to have obstacles. And the path to get to the gate is a narrow path, which means it's strict. Right? It's strict. Where did I want that? G23 and 46. Where was it? Afflict, narrow, suffer, tribulation, trouble. Doesn't have it in there. Or maybe I'm just blind or something. But narrow is a strict path, okay? This is what this is going into. Narrow is a strict path, all right? Now, we know that it's strict because we have laws, statutes, and commandments to abide by. You see what I'm saying? We have laws, statutes, and commandments to abide by. All right, let's get Matthew chapter 16, verse 24. Let's change that. All right. Matthew chapter 16, verse 24 said, Then said Yahushua unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. Right? We have to take up our cross, right? Paul says we die every day. That he dies every day, actually. It's the same for us, though. This is a part of taking up your cross. This is a strict path. This is a narrow path, right? You have law, statutes, and commandments to keep faith in the Yahushua. You know, scripture says, don't come to the altar empty-handed, right? We are on a strict path. This is the narrow path that we must follow. Straight is the gate, but narrow is the way. Narrow is the way to go. You see what I'm saying? So now you have a direction. You have an understanding that you're going to deal with hardship to get to the gate, and this is the way to get to the gate, a strict path. All right. Let's get John 16. John 16. Whoa. Okay, there we go. And verse 2. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yeah, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service. That's cold right there. You see what I'm saying? That's cold right there. You know, we can I always go back to Christianity, right? We can look at Christianity and be like, you Israelites are in a cult, extremists. You're teaching the wrong word. You're teaching the wrong doctrine, and we could be persecuted, put to death, so on and so forth, right? But we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're staying on that path. See what I'm saying? Doing what we're supposed to do. Let's drop down to verse 33. Verse 33 says, These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. Yahushua is our example. He overcome the world even through tribulation. We can do the same, right? Because we're trying to measure up to him. So we can overcome the world, but it's going to be through tribulation. It's going to be through hardships. Right? Let's get Proverbs 4. 4 and 26. 26 and 27. Ponder thy path of thy feet. Right? So we know that the path, the way, is a narrow way. Narrow is the way. and let all thy ways be established. We can't be indecisive. Ain't no wavering back and forth. You know what I mean? Turn not to the right hand nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. We can't veer off this path. A just man falls 7 times, yes, but a just man also knows how to get back up. But that doesn't mean we veer off the path. You see? Don't let your selfish pleasures let you veer off the path. You know what I mean? And that could be anything. That could be drugs. That could be money. That could be sex. You know what I'm saying? It could be anything. Don't let your selfish pleasures let you veer off the path. All right? Let's get Isaiah chapter 30. Oops. And verse 20. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this out. Yeah, I might as well read it. All right. Isaiah 30 and 20 says, and though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, ye shall not thy teachers be removed in a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way, walk ye in it, when ye turn to the right hand and when ye turn to the left, right? So don't let people convince you of some other stuff. You see what I'm saying? You keep staying on the path that you need to stay on, right? Verse 22, ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away as a menstruous cloth. Thou shalt say unto it, get thee hence. You see what I'm saying? So do not let another person to convince you to go off of your path. Okay? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 16. I only got a few more, you know what I mean? So, I don't want to drag it out. I think you guys understand. Jeremiah 6 and 16. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein, right? He said, ask for the old paths. It was already laid out to our ancestors and our forefathers. The path is already set. This is why we got to seek that old path. It's already set. It's already laid out. But a lot of our people say they won't walk in that path. And we see that today. We see that today. You know what I mean? So we see that today. Let's get Matthew chapter 20. Like I said, we're almost done. Matthew chapter 20 and verse 16 says, so the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few chosen. Right? We try to bid all of Israel to the wedding feast. Doesn't mean everybody's going to make it. Doesn't mean everybody's going to enter into the wedding feast. No. All right? And even in chapter 22, let's go to Matthew 22 and 14, Yahushua says it again. Matthew 22 and 14, he says, for many are called, but few are chosen. You see? Yahushua is saying this himself. He knows the outcome. You know what I mean? He knows that someone's going to get cut off because he says the ones that belong to him, he doesn't lose one. He doesn't lose one. I'm going to end it with this. Let's go to Matthew 25. All right, let's go to Matthew 25. We'll start at verse 1, and we'll end it with this. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch, therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. So, with that, we can't waste time. We got to be prepared. You see, we got to stay prepared. And we have to stay on that path. You see, that narrow path, wide leads to destruction. So we're on a strict path, and we have an understanding that we have obstacles and tribulations to go through to get to that gate. And I'll end it right there. All praise and glory to the Most High. Lord's will, y'all were edified. Lord's will, it was a good class for y'all, and that you had an understanding. I try not to make the classes too long. So, like I said, hopefully y'all had an understanding in Lord's will. You guys were edified. So with that, I'll say, Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatam, Wa Shamar Tham. Look forward to LOI Detroit's class tomorrow, Lord's will, and priest class Saturday, early morning Sabbath. Look for those things. Subscribe, like, share, and with that, I'll say it's Micah Allah, LOI Colorado, and with that, I'll say Shalom.
I wanna praise you, Yahweh. I wanna thank you, Yahweh. I'm so grateful, Yahweh. I wanna thank you, Yahweh.
For the promises. Life is a blessing, and life is a lesson. Life is a setback, and life is progression. Life is uneasy at times, life is comfortable. Life will lift you up, and at times, life will humble you. Life is a gift, you better thank the Lord for it. Every chance you get, someone is less fortunate. Life goes in circles, life throws you curveballs. Life can be deceiving like preachers in the church halls. Life isn't promised. If I could be honest, the fact that I'm alive, that time has me astonished. Cause I came from the underground, being tossed around, being lost and found. Now they adore the sound of the priest, far from a nuance. Verses are proverbs, written's are the new Psalms. Another song for the blocks and the avenues. Everything is plain, I don't speak to them in parables.
I wanna praise you, Yahweh.
I wanna praise you.
I wanna thank you, Yahweh. I'm so grateful,
I'm so grateful.
Yahweh. I wanna thank you, Yahweh.
For the power I see see the world through different eyes. Every Sunday got the preacher telling different lies, hearing things that I really couldn't visualize. Should've listened, Big said you'd be hypnotized. I was a victim too, I say respectfully. They all up in the soup, don't know the recipe. Talking about I'm not who I was bred to be. Count me out, man, who made you the referee? Trying to get stripes, trying to cloud chase. At 19, I made an about face. Thanks to Christ, it's also about grace. And they lied when they said it ain't about race. But that's another song, I ain't the first to tell you. Woke up on a deeper and a surface level. Learned the laws and the laws changed my attitude. And the song is to show you how a gratitude. I'm so grateful.
I wanna praise you, I wanna thank you. Yahweh, I'm so grateful.
We're so grateful.
I wanna thank you. Yahweh.
Now let it ride.
I wanna praise you. I wanna thank you.
Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kwadash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwatha, Thaba'a, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratazar, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Lathanawa, Lacham, Kal, Yawam, Wasalachnawa, Chaubwathnawa, Kasalachnawa, Chaubwathinawa, Wala'a, Tabia Anawa, Manasaya 1, Abal, Hawashayanawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'atapa Arath, La'ai Walamyam, Aman.